Welcome to TalkLine on the Metro News Radio Network.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded.
We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
Holy smoke.
From the studios of the West Virginia Radio Corporation and the Metro News Radio Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful radio show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talk Live with Hoppy Kercheval.
Check set lineup link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Cue Hoppy. You're on.
Metro News Talkline with Hoppy Kercheval is presented by Encova Insurance, formerly Motorist Insurance Group, and Brick Street Insurance. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
We're going to get right to it this morning because of my in-studio guest. First, the background. Former WVU student Ryan Diviney, who was beaten into a coma a decade ago today, just off the WVU campus where he was a student, passed away on Saturday, August 31st. The first notice came on a Facebook post, Ryan's Rally. We got this. A Facebook page post said that, posted by his dad, this was a post I never wanted to write. It is with great sadness I must inform you all that Ryan Diviney has succumbed to his injuries. It was sudden and unexpected. And then I reached out that morning to his dad, Ken. We'd come to know each other over the years. And he said the Diviney family is going through waves of unimaginable sadness, anger, and appreciation. Their sadness will be coped with over time, and their anger will be directed where it is appropriate. And Ken texted me that morning and said, please let the people of West Virginia know how deeply our family appreciates everything they did for my family, and Ryan specifically. We are sincerely and eternally grateful. We love them. Let them know my family holds them in our heart today, Ken said in a text to me. This was an attack on Ryan 10 years ago today. And two suspects were convicted in connection with that. Austin Van Treese and Jonathan May were charged in connection with the November 2009 beating that happened near the Willie Street Dairy Mart. Van Treese was sentenced after his July 2010 conviction to 2 to 10 years for malicious assault. He kicked Diviney in the head after he'd fallen to the ground. May threw the initial punch that knocked Diviney to the ground. He was in jail for 7 months. Joining us in studio this morning is Ken Diviney. His wife, Sue, is here. She's not on camera, but Sue is here as well. Ken, it's good to see you again, although under difficult circumstances. Good morning, and how are you? How are you? How's Sue? How's Carrie? How's your family?
Well, Hoppy, we're hanging in there, and I first of all want to thank you personally and the people of West Virginia, more specifically Morgantown, for keeping my son close to them through 10 years. 10 years. The people here took it personally, and I really appreciate it.
What did they do? What did they do for you?
Well, they were reaching out all the time. They would send us money. One memory that sticks in my mind most specifically was I got a box. It must have weighed 30 pounds, and it was just filled with coins. No return address other than Morgantown.
Ken Diviney is with his father of Ryan Diviney, who was attacked 10 years ago. Today is going to be a bell ringing on the WVU campus tomorrow in his honor. When he was attacked and severely injured, he's at the hospital. You and Sue are there. Doctors gave him what prognosis and what decisions did you have to make?
The prognosis was this isn't good. There's a high probability that he's going to die within the next 24 hours, even higher within 72. And even if he comes out of it, he'll probably never return to the way he was before. The funny thing, well, not funny, the ironic thing about it was my son, we knew what to do.
Why?
We knew our decisions because just 6 weeks prior, we were hanging out in our backyard, and my wife came down, and she was talking about the night before she wasn't able to wake up, but her mind was awake. I think they call it sleep paralysis. And she referred to it as a coma, and we got on that topic. So Ryan told us, he said, if that ever happens to me, you do everything you can for me. And we did every day. I mean, we made that promise. At the time, we didn't know the gravity of that promise, but we made it and we kept it every day.
So you quit your job. You became the primary caregiver. Sue, obviously, caregiver as well, but she continued to work, so the family had income. What did that day-to-day involve when you took care of Ryan?
It would start around 5:30 in the morning, and it would conclude
Because he was
around-
he was in a comatose / impolite term vegetative state.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what it was.
Okay.
Totally relied on us for care for everything. He couldn't move from one place to the other. He couldn't tell us if there was something wrong. So it started in the morning, mainly with therapies, exercising, stretching, full range of motion. But it also involved things as you progress throughout the day, like tactile stimulation, letting them feel different things, and all the hygiene cares that people don't think about. The bathroom routines, showering, putting him into bed, and it wrapped up, well, he was in bed around 9:30 at night.
Did he sleep all night, or were you up all night at different times caring for him?
Yeah, well, yeah, it never ended. We were right there next to him the whole time. We never left him alone, ever. He was right there. We had monitors on him in case he would fall asleep. And I would not allow myself to go into deep sleep for 10 years. And my strategy was I drank a lot of water. So if I did drift off, it would remind me, my body would remind me I have to get up.
Ken Diviney is with us. His wife, Sue, is here as well. She's off camera, but we're talking about the passage of Ryan Diviney back on August 31st, and it was 10 years ago today that he was attacked. What was that? What was that like? I hate to say how it sounds so glib about that, but what was that like for 10 years?
It was surreal.
How did you deal with it?
We lived in the moment. Because if you think of the past, it hurt to think of how happy it was. And if you look to the future, it scared the hell out of you. So you lived in the moment. And each moment you would make it through, promising yourself that you would not give up.
And you never did?
I never did. My wife never did. We never gave up, not even 1 minute. We put everything into it.
His death on August 31st was unexpected, correct?
It was.
What happened?
He was fine. We got him up that morning, put him through his paces. We were at our cabin here in Hardy County, West Virginia. Had him outside in the morning, watched the West Virginia game. After the game, my wife was singing "Take Me Home, Country Roads" to him. 2 hours later, he was dead. All of a sudden, he just went into respiratory distress. Got him in the van as fast as we could to get him to the hospital. He died en route. I was giving him CPR on the roadside, and she was trying to get 911 to our location.
What was the cause of death?
We don't know yet. It's pending an autopsy that we ordered.
Why is the autopsy important to you all?
The autopsy is not necessarily important, but could be indisputable for the cause of death, because we're going to start pursuing justice. And I know that justice is on everyone's mind, and we sincerely appreciate that they share that sadness and anger with us. And I'm not trying to incite anyone when I talk about this because of the way I feel. But I knew that I would never relent in bringing complete justice to Ryan when it occurred to me many years ago that I had stopped praying that there was a heaven and started praying that there was a hell.
Because
we are going to do everything we can for justice. And in our mind, hell might be too good for the people that did this to us. I mean, any father would feel this way. And from my family's observations from the attackers, we've seen no remorse. In fact, we've seen just the opposite. This one fellow, Van Trees, gets a tattoo on him. It says, "Failure is not getting knocked down. Failure is not getting back up." I took that personally. To me, that's not correct. Failure is kicking someone in the head and running and hiding from it. That's failure to me. So maybe he can wear that tattoo and remind him of that attack every day.
Define for you and for Sue and for Carrie, define justice then in this case.
I think there's several facets to justice. I think society should in some way recognize that he's out there and protect himself against it and let other people know.
And Van Treese is the individual who kicked Ryan in the head.
Yeah. And when I speak to, I usually use his name because he's the one that kicked him when he was unconscious on the ground. So If I just say Van Treese, just assume I mean May as well on that. But the things that he's done over the past 10 years to just be in our face like that, where he filed a motion, the people that gave the money there for the coins, he wanted to offset any financial obligation to my son with gifts from other people. Like, that's a pretty crummy thing to do, right?
Ken, when you get autopsy results, if the autopsy shows there is, and you're not a lawyer nor am I, but if the autopsy shows that Ryan's death is directly linked to the injury he sustained 10 years ago, have you talked with authorities? Can additional charges be brought against the two individuals?
Well, there's two paths to go here, and I believe the answer is yes. I've been talking to legal counsel on this. And there's also a civil aspect to it that we can go down as well. For instance, a wrongful death or something to that extent. So they won't be charged or civilly pursued under the same charge. It'll be a separate charge, say murder or manslaughter.
You believe, though, there is, given his condition, his death, you believe there is a legal option for further prosecution of these two individuals?
I'm going to explore every option, and if I didn't believe that was one, I wouldn't even pursue it.
How angry are you and Sue and Carrie?
Sue is more saddened more than anything. I sense there is anger in there. I'm angry as hell. I'm a dad that lost a kid to violence. And every dad that's ever come across me, come to me, said, how are you able to cope with that? Just said, there'll come a day when I'll have that, but right now I need to take care of my son. So this day has come. Everything's on the table.
We talked before we went on the air, and you said, obviously, that when one loses a child, you never get over it. But you're going to be alive today and the next day and the next day, all things being equal, so there will be a post-death life for you and Sue. What does that bring?
Well, I think for me, the purpose has been defined, to bring justice to my son, one, but even more so is to carry on his legacy.
Which is?
Well, he gave so much to this world with the downtrodden. He took care of the people that were bullied. He had the social clout to carry himself any way he wanted to, and he chose to use that in a good way. So I want to bring that out to people. And even like right now, I haven't been out in 10 years, but when I went out and I look, everybody is not engaging. They're on their phones or looking down. They've become avatars of themselves. Ryan would be so disgusted that people are that way, that they don't engage.
Ken Diviney's with us. What West Virginia's listening? We're talking. I reached out to you after Ryan died, and you said you really weren't capable then. You're here now. West Virginia's listening. What would you like to say? What would you like to end with?
Well, Hoppy, first, one thing there's a documentary being done on him. It's called Storming. And it's a story that's described by the director as extreme love and hope in the face of tragedy, and sheds light on a population of people affected by traumatic brain injury, caregivers or survivors. And it most importantly shares Ryan's story through an honest portrayal of parenthood. But for the people of West Virginia, I want to tell them that one of the greatest blessings in my life, aside from family, is community. And I consider West Virginia, Morgantown, and West Virginia University part of that community. And thanks to these people, they've held me up even to this very day. There were times when my knees would just buckle under me, but I knew that there were people out there feeding me more line as I was trying to get above the fray. And it's because of people like citizens of West Virginia, Morgantown, and people like them that Ryan remains relevant 10 years after the attack. And my family needs you. I need you, and Ryan still needs you.
Ken Diviney, wife Sue is here as well. It's under these circumstances, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks
Hoppy,
for coming.
You've been wonderful keeping Ryan relevant.
All right. Tomorrow's the bell ringing. Noon tomorrow. All right. Take good care. TalkLine will continue. We'll be right back. Brad, the West Virginia defense had a great performance against Baylor, but the offense was just dreadful. What now?
Yeah, phenomenal effort by that defensive group. Now can you replicate that? Do you get that back here as Texas Tech comes in? It gets easier. It's not easy. This is a really balanced league. West Virginia's going to have to continue to play well. You're going to get some wins coming down the stretch here in November.
Exclusive game day coverage of West Virginia and Texas Tech starts this Saturday at 9 a.m. here on the Metro News Radio Network and at WVMetroNews.com.
People have gathered around ideas since the beginning of time. Each successful collaboration pushing innovation forward, building a stronger future. Motorists Insurance Group and Brick Street Insurance have combined decades of experience to create an even better one-stop shop for agents and policyholders, encircling businesses and individuals with coverage at every step in life's journey. We are now Encova Insurance.
This is TalkLine on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.